0512 local time. The North Pacific sits under a low overcast, the kind that flattens the light and makes the horizon disappear. Swells run long and even. Wind is nothing. Visibility is acceptable, but not generous. On the surface, it looks like every other morning watch. Inside the Combat Information Center aboard USS Ronald Reagan, the screens are active, passive, and constantly updated. Nobody talks unless they have something to say. Then the picture changes. 6 new surface returns appear, not drifting in from a single direction, not following any commercial lane. They materialize across a wide arc, almost in unison, like pieces of a formation that had been waiting just beyond detection range. The radar operator doesn't reach for a radio. He tightens the display scale. Multiple surface contacts. Bearing spread. Range 31 nautical miles. Speeds climbing. The watch floor absorbs the information without drama. No alarms, no sharp voices, just posture, shifting from routine to focused. Something has entered the picture, and it arrived together. The radar returns resolve quickly. The system doesn't need long. Hull geometry, radar cross-section, superstructure profile, each contact yields a clean signature, not commercial traffic, not Coast Guard, not research vessels. Russian Navy. 6 surface combatants. Mixed formation, spread deliberately. The track supervisor calls it out. Contacts classified as military. Formation spacing indicates coordination, not coincidence. USS Ronald Reagan does not change course, does not accelerate. The carrier holds at 21 knots, carving a straight line through gray water, unchanged. In the U.S. Navy, reacting early surrenders initiative. You hold, you observe, you let the other side declare themselves. The first hail goes out on international bridge-to-bridge frequency, neutral language, professional cadence. No aggression, no ambiguity. Unidentified naval vessels, this is a United States Navy warship operating in international waters. Identify yourself and state your intentions. Silence. No carrier frequency, no static, no weak acknowledgement. 6 warships closing from 28 nautical miles, and nothing comes back. That silence goes into the log. It's not an absence of communication, it's a choice. And choices at sea have meaning. At 25 nautical miles, the geometry tells the first part of the story. 2 contacts push slightly ahead of the group, angling toward the carrier's projected track. 2 more spread wide to port, increasing lateral separation. The remaining pair hang back, offset to starboard, holding depth in the formation. This is not 6 ships that happen to be in the same area. This is a deliberate arrangement. Each ship occupies a specific position. Each position serves a specific function. The arc they're forming has a center point, and the carrier is it. Inside CIC, the closest point of approach calculator runs continuously. Numbers refresh every sweep. They trend in one direction only. Closer. The officer of the deck orders a second hail. Same frequency, same professional tone. Nothing. The contacts continue closing. 22 nautical miles. 20. One ship nudges its heading by 2 degrees, a small adjustment that sharpens the intercept angle without announcing itself. The track supervisor flags it immediately. The movement is time-stamped, annotated, and filed. Nationality doesn't change procedure. Intent does. And intent is beginning to take shape. At 17 nautical miles, the electronic warfare team registers the first emission shift. 2 of the Russian ships switch from passive mode to active surface search. The energy output increases. Sweep patterns change. They are no longer just moving toward the carrier. They are actively measuring it. Every pulse is captured. Frequency, repetition rate, power level, sweep interval. The ESM suite logs it all without interrupting anything else. This is the ship breathing in, collecting information quietly while giving nothing back. A third hail goes out. Still no reply. The Russian ships continue transmitting, and with every sweep, they hand over more data than they realize. Coordination patterns emerge. Timing drift between ships suggests their command architecture. One vessel's emissions lag the others by a fraction of a second older hardware, or a different tactical role. All of it gets logged. The carrier isn't hiding. It doesn't need to, but it is learning. Long-range electro-optical cameras swing onto the contacts. Zoom tightens. The images stabilize. Gray hulls, sharp bows, low, angular superstructures built for function, not appearance. These are warships, and they look it. Hull numbers are visible. Flags are clear. There is no ambiguity about who these ships belong to or who they're approaching. Deck activity is visible now. Sailors on the forward sections, helmets on several of them, personnel clustered near equipment that isn't being used yet, but is being stood near. No targeting systems are active, but the posture is deliberate. Sailors don't wear helmets on casual transits. Inside CIC, the assessment is noted without commentary. This crew is not running a routine patrol. These ships know exactly who they've come to find. CPA now inside 5 nautical miles. The number isn't alarming yet, but it's no longer comfortable. At 5 miles, intent can still be disguised. Below 3, it can't. 0541 local time. The range falls below 12 nautical miles. The formation locks in. 2 ships now sit off the port quarter, pressing from that angle. 2 more hold starboard, creating bilateral pressure. The lead vessel continues on its intercept, heading. The rear pair maintain depth, closing the exit geometry behind the formation. This is an encirclement. Not complete, not yet. But the structure is unmistakable to anyone who has spent time reading tactical plots. CPA now 3.4 nautical miles, trending lower. The captain is briefed in direct, clipped language. 6 contacts, coordinated formation, multiple active emissions, no communication, CPA, inside 4 miles, and closing. He listens, doesn't move from his position, doesn't reach for the radio. Hold course. 2 words. No additional instruction. The ship's posture doesn't change. There's a discipline to this that looks passive from the outside. It is the opposite. Holding course under this kind of pressure requires more deliberate control than any maneuver. Every system on board is awake. Every contact is tracked. The carrier knows where each ship will be in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 3 minutes, and it knows this before any of those ships have made their next decision. CPA 2.8 nautical miles. The lead Russian ship accelerates, 2 knots, then another. Its wake lengthens. White water cuts a sharper line across the gray swell. Inside CIC, the update arrives without ceremony. Contact Alpha increasing speed. CPA now 2.1 nautical miles and decreasing. The carrier holds. 21 knots. Same heading. Same composure. On the bridge, sunlight catches the surface of the water between the ships. It would look peaceful to anyone who didn't know what the numbers meant. 0547 local time. The balance tips. Contact Alpha alters heading. The adjustment is small, 4 degrees inward, but it changes the geometry entirely. CPA drops fast. 2.1 becomes 1.9, then 1.7. The track supervisor marks the contact red. This is no longer passive pressure. This is a probe. The captain watches the plot. He waits 5 seconds, giving the Russian crew every opportunity to reconsider. They don't. Authorize airborne presence. The words move through the ship without urgency, but the flight deck comes alive. An MH-60R Seahawk is already prepped. The crew doesn't scramble. They move with economy. Helmets on, checklists complete, systems online. Blades begin to turn. The rotor wash pushes across the flight deck as the aircraft lifts clear of the carrier's superstructure. No dramatic launch angle. No aggressive dive toward the contact. The helicopter climbs to a controlled altitude, levels off, and moves directly toward Contact Alpha at a measured pace. From Alpha's bridge, the aircraft is immediately visible. A United States Navy helicopter, low and steady, closing the distance without hesitation. The Seahawk's sensor suite activates fully. Infrared imaging locks onto the Russian hull. Electro-optical zoom delivers a sharp picture: deck crew, bridge occupants, antenna positions, equipment layout. Every frame is time-stamped, geolocated, and streamed back to the carrier in real time. At one point, 4 nautical miles from Alpha, the helicopter holds position, offset to the ship's port side. Close enough to be inescapable, far enough to remain non-provocative. Then the laser activates. A single green point of light, steady and deliberate, settles on the bridge windows of Contact Alpha. Non-lethal, harmless, impossible to misread. You are seen. Precisely. Intentionally. The radio call follows. Calm voice. No elevation in tone. Russian naval vessel. This is a United States Navy aircraft. You are conducting unsafe maneuvering in international waters. Your actions are being recorded. Alter course immediately. The message repeats. First in English, then in Russian. For the first time since the encounter began, something changes. 552 local time. On the CIC display, Contact Alpha's speed indicator drops, not dramatically. 2 knots, then 2 more. The wake behind its stern shortens, the white water settling back into the swell. CPA stops decreasing. 1.7 nautical miles, holding. Then, slowly, increasing. The update comes in flat and factual. Alpha reducing speed. CPA beginning to widen. Across the formation, the effect ripples outward. The ship on the port quarter eases its heading by a few degrees. Another reduces throttle. The precision of the encirclement maintained for the past 40 minutes begins to soften at the edges. The Seahawk doesn't move. It holds its orbit. Sensors locked. Cameras rolling. It doesn't pursue the withdrawing contacts. It doesn't close on them. Presence applied through stillness, not aggression. One final radio transmission arrives from Contact Alpha. Brief, formal, controlled. United States vessel. We are conducting scheduled operations in international waters. We require adequate separation distance. The captain considers it for a moment. Then the reply goes out from the carrier. Firm, neutral, final. You are operating in international waters. All maneuvers are being recorded. Maintain safe distance. Nothing more. Alpha alters course by 5 degrees. Outward. The intercept line breaks. The ring begins to dissolve, not with a command, not with a declaration, but with small heading changes that accumulate into separation. Each ship finds slightly more distance from the one before it. The formation that arrived as a unit departs as individuals. The Seahawk completes one final pass, wide, slow, unhurried. Then it banks toward the carrier and climbs away, rotors tilting as it ascends. The cameras don't stop rolling until the wheels touch the deck. 0601 local time. The flight deck goes quiet again. The Seahawk is secured, blades folded, systems powered down. From the outside, the carrier looks exactly as it did at 0512 when the first contacts appeared. That's the point. Inside CIC, the watch team completes its documentation. Every track is preserved, bearing changes annotated, speed fluctuations marked, radar emissions logged with frequencies and timestamps. The encounter is sealed into the record. On the radar display, the 6 Russian contacts now hold parallel courses present, visible, but no longer relevant to the carrier's movement. Their formation has no geometry anymore. It's just ships, at distance, going somewhere else. No announcement is made over the ship's internal system. No acknowledgement of what just concluded. The watch rotates. Coffee cups reappear at consoles. Conversations resume in normal tones. USS Ronald Reagan never changed course. Not once. Not by a single degree. 21 knots. Same heading. From the first radar contact to the last. If you looked at the carrier's navigation track from above, you would see a perfectly straight line cutting through the North Pacific. The Russian ships would appear as a brief disturbance around it, arriving from one side, pressing inward, then falling away. The line never bends. That's not coincidence. That's what controlled capability looks like in practice. As the range continues to open 6 miles, 8, 10, the encounter recedes from the immediate tactical picture and enters a different kind of record, one that will be analyzed by people who weren't here. What Russia executed today was a recognizable maneuver. A coordinated approach, tight formation discipline, deliberate silence on the radio, and active sensor emissions designed to measure response time and temperament. This isn't a new playbook. It's been used in the Baltic, in the South China Sea, in the Mediterranean. The specifics change. The logic doesn't. Apply pressure. See what breaks. What the Russian formation discovered today is the same thing other navies have encountered in the same circumstances. The pressure doesn't land the way it's expected to. Not because the US Navy is indifferent to the threat, it isn't, but because the response has already been decided long before the contacts appear. Hold course. Document everything. Escalate presence, not force. Make the other side responsible for the next move. That framework is harder to challenge than any individual weapon system. 6 warships closed on an aircraft carrier in international waters and were met with something they couldn't easily counter: patience. Not passivity, patience. The kind that comes from knowing your systems, trusting your doctrine, and understanding that the side which forces an unnecessary reaction has already lost something. What Russia gave away in exchange for this test was significant. Operating patterns, radar signatures, command timing, formation behavior under stress, the degree of coordination before breakdown. All of it is now in a file somewhere. Modern naval strength isn't always visible in the moment it's exercised. Sometimes it lives entirely in the gap between what the other side expected to happen and what actually did. 6 warships came to test a line. They found it exactly where it was supposed to be. And when they left, the line was still there. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe for more real naval encounters analyzed through actual doctrine and operational behavior. Drop your thoughts below. Should the US Navy respond more assertively to these approaches? Or is the current doctrine the right call? The answer matters more than it might seem.